Him and I told him how fast to play it and what portion to play, and he was kind enough to do it as instead of argue with me, and I made him play it. He said, I never played anything that fast in my life.
I could hear in what I was animating to whether his left hand was doing a certain thing approximately. So I'd approximate that and, you know, bringing it up like that, whatever looked like, you know. Jazz piano players wouldn't do that. They're just going like mad. But if you're playing something, you know, subtle, like some of that music was, a classic, like, you'd have that look on your face. Your eyes are closed, and boy, you're off in a dream, as it were. And I tried to get to what I felt was the type of a feeling in the hands that would work with that when I listened to the soundtrack.
The Hungry Rhapsody, that's a number that I can manipulate. I can use a phrase of it. I can conduct it.
Everybody at Warner's had their own directorial style, and Friz Freleng was no exception. He also had great animators with him, like Virgil Ross and Jerry Chinicki and Art Davis. And each of them had their own styles within Friz's directorial style.
One of the interesting things watching him look over my shoulder at the cartoons was he would pick out scenes. He'd say, there's one of your dad's scenes. And another one, there's one of your dad's scenes. And I said, Friz, how do you know that? I said, it's been 40 years. How can you remember? And he says, I'm not remembering. He said, it's like handwriting. I can just tell. It's his style.
There's such a difference between, like, Ken Champion's scene and Jerry Chinicki and Bob Matz, every one of them, Virgil Ross. I just look at it and say, that's Virgil Ross. It's like his signature.
I really think animators, whether they realize it or not, you're an actor. Only you're doing it on paper.
Well, it's actually an actor, I think. That's what I think it is. An actor can draw a little bit.
And it was just an awful lot of fun. You could learn to do things that you couldn't do yourself, but you could do it in animation.
When a director casts an animator, it's like a live-action director casting an actor. So, for example, Jerry Chinicki was terrific at all of the dance scenes. So whenever Friz had a dance scene, it would automatically go to Jerry Chinicki.
Complicated steps, you know, like tap dancing and things like that, that Jerry could do. None of the other animators could work it out. I would get up and dance, he would dance, and he'd break it down, we'd break it down, I'd make drawings, we'd make sketches, and we'd figure out how to make a tap dance.
One of the most famous examples was Bugs' soft shoe in Bugs Bunny Rides Again. It's a great bit, and there wasn't really anybody in the unit who could animate that other than Jerry Chinicki.
He did some of the very best stuff. Like Bad Old Pony Tat, that has the badminton game.
Now, how do you suppose I got me widow's self in such a predicament?
The thing that Jerry Chinicki brought to it was the grace. Like, when the character jumps up in the air, there's a certain little graceful action that the arc of the foot takes, you know. They just hold up in the air and they come back down again as he's getting ready to swat the badminton bird. You know, all that stuff, I think, is things that Jerry Shinneke brought to it.
Art Davis, who started animating for Friz later, did really